Hi, I'm Cathy. I'm an alcoholic. I do have experience with this work and these steps with a Big Book Step Study sponsor and a very kind and loving God. And I am currently doing living amends, some restitution, and waiting on a ready. They're ready for me, not I'm ready for them. Kind of a thing. And that's been 20 years, and she's still not ready. But you know what? Today's another day. So I am doing this work. I continue, and wow, this is a great step to be on this morning. Thank you so much for asking me and for your many service opportunities. You're a really great fellow as far as that goes, and a friend. I appreciate it, and I appreciate all of you being here. So let's get down to it. What is my experience with this step, which is step 10, right? So here we go. That's the wrong one. Let's go this way. Continue to take personal inventory, and when we were wrong, promptly admit it. It doesn't say if, it says when we were wrong, promptly admitted it. So there's a couple of things that are jumping out to me this morning, in particular, being step 10 and continuing, and just the nuance of how this just unfolded with, you know, you really have to know how to do step 4 before you can do step 10 as far as that goes. So we're given piece by piece instructions within this process to do this work. So today we're on the 10th step. So there are 9 other steps that precede this and that lead us to where we are here today. So, you know, the wonderful thing about this process for me, how did I come here? I came here not knowing that I was an alcoholic, which seems kind of nuts, but I really didn't. I didn't know that. I really didn't. I thought, really doesn't matter what I thought. Pretty much like problem drinker, hollow leg, that kind of thing. Like to party, that really likes to party, that kind of a thing. So I think that, you know, we all come into recovery, oh, now I got my recovery hat on. We all come into recovery with different levels of collateral, if you will, and it brings us to different places. And sometimes when you have strengths or resources, they can keep you stuck and out there even longer. So for instance, for me, I don't know why, but for some reason, never being arrested for drunk driving was one of those yes kind of a thing. It's like, well, I didn't get arrested. It wasn't, did I get pulled over or was I driving drunk? No, I didn't get arrested. They let me go, and they said, if you could make it to the exit, you can go. So it's like, okay, all right, I'm going. And that's nothing to be proud about, for sure. But that's just where I was at. I started drinking. Okay, where was I? What was I like? How did I get here? All that stuff. So like I say, how did I get here? Particularly if I didn't think I was an alcoholic. It's like, well, what are you doing here? Good question. And sometimes we might ask ourselves those questions. So how I ended up here was, it was 1998, and I was laid off. And it was the first time in a long time. Well, no, that's really not true. See, I'm lying already. Contingent on the maintenance of our spiritual condition. So this will be good. I'm in a good space today, so I guess I have to tell the truth. Dang. In any event, so I'm unemployed, and in my professional, I don't know, I think I was about 40 or something. And basically, oh my God, the geographic cures. I was just on a do-over from relocating to Tennessee. My best thinking was, I'm going to live in my sister's basement in Nashville with my then 6-year-old son and start over, because she loved it, and if she loved it, why wouldn't I love it, right? Because we're sisters. I didn't love it. I pulled into the, I had never, rule number one, never been to Nashville. Okay, lovely place, it wasn't Nashville, it was me. So one of the things in talking about resourcing and whatnot, in my professional career, at that point in time, I was a hairdresser. And so that lifestyle very much, it's a wonderful lifestyle, I enjoyed it, cash business type of a thing, people, lots of partying. Not everybody's like that are hairdressers, but I had a kind of gravitated towards those people. It's funny how that works out in life, the people that you seek out and find yourself around. So in any event, I went down there to start over, and 6 weeks in, I thought, no Dunkin' Donuts? Like what? You know what I mean? And going back a few years, my son's 28, who was 6 at the time. And so, yeah, it was... So let's flip that around. I was able to get a job. I was able to start over. I was working by Vanderbilt University. I was nuts and I was miserable, and I was taking my son along for the ride. My sister had remodeled her basement and taken into her heart to have her younger sister and nephew come start over with them. I was totally oblivious to like what a generous and kind offer that really was for her, for anybody, but particularly at that point in her life. And then, basically when I realized, oh, just kidding, I'm out of here, I gotta go. And so I went back, and guess where I went back? I went back to Athol, because that's where I could find 2 rooms. So I was good at finding things and like landing on my feet, so to speak. So for me, those are the kinds of things that just kept me out there more, because I wouldn't identify, I would exclude myself. So those things, like, it's like, oh, well, maybe that's you, but that's not me. And those kinds of things. So basically, I'm living out in Athol. My car got repossessed because, needless to say, I wasn't making the car payments that I relocated to Tennessee with. And at that point, my mom was still alive, and it was a really low point in my life. And she basically said to me, why don't you just give Christian, my now 28-year-old son, give him to us and just go do what you're gonna do. You know what I mean, kind of a thing. And for me, I thought, oh, geez, can you imagine that, saying that to me? And I'm thinking, I'm just, poor me, and I'm just really trying, and I just can't catch a break, and blah, blah, blah. Well, long story short, so here's where I'm getting to how I ended up here. Daytime meetings, whatnot. I had been scouring the self-help genre of meetings. Gee, I wonder what self-help meeting I could like land in that, and I wasn't quite thinking that clearly, that I could get some help and blah, blah, blah. So at that time I think I was 300 and something pounds, and I went to OA, was where I went. I went to OA, I was familiar with OA, and we don't have positions on outside issues, but it is part of my story. And so for me, that's how I came to OA, was through another 12-step group. And so coming 4 years into an AA meeting, I was not using alcohol. I was not using any substances that were, well, see, that's really not true either. No, that's really not true. Okay, so let's try that again. So basically, I go into, where was this? This was Leominster OA meeting. Cried through the whole meeting because they were defining what that particular meeting was about, and it very much resonated. People reached out to me, they called me, they connected with me, and let's go to meetings. So 4 years later, I'm still going to meetings at that point in time, and using that exception where most of us couldn't not drink for a year, it says in here. That was another thing. I'm like, oh, well, I haven't drank for 4 years, so clearly I'm not like you. You know what I mean? It's like, no, you are. So it really took for me to listen, because that is not like really a strong skill set that I came in with, the whole listening thing, or following suggestions or being told what to do really didn't feel good as far as that went, but I was way beyond like get over yourself as far as that goes. Like you need some help. So no job to hide out on, because I'm intelligent, I can do well, and so I can pull myself out of messes. This was the MO. And so we know that these are yets, and like we all look different, but the manifestation and the pain is all very similar. But when I'm trying to compare my insides to your outsides with a really twisted up head, it's really difficult. So I share that because one of the things that was helpful to me, besides connecting with people who were seemingly didn't want something from me, really, in the context of, you know, the type of things people usually want from you, at least at that point in time. And so in coming to meetings, okay, if one's good, 10's better. I'm going every meeting between here and like wherever the next state is. I'm on it, we're going, it's a carload, let's go. So in going, thank God, in going to these meetings and with other people, and you know, so I was at a meeting last week, and there was somebody there that was from then, like, and so it's so cool to go and see people that are still out there doing what they do or who have come back. But these are people who were nice to the newcomer, even though she's nuts, kind of a thing, and that works both ways. So as I'm here, and you know, we're talking about step 10 today, which is before step 12. In order for me to be in like suited up and game on mode, I have to be practicing. So practice isn't doing it in my head. Practice is doing it, the physical, like when we talk about in step 3, turning our life and our will, it's like that's our thoughts and our action. It's not just my thinking, like that, oh my God, it's like, okay, here, take that, but I'll keep this part. I'll be doing that last one as far as that goes. So, you know, it's taken a long time, and so what's taken a long time? To get to be in a consistent daily state of being willing to follow a way of living that requires that I practice this step daily. So somewhere around 4.5 years, no, that's not true either. 5 years, somewhere around 5 years, it really became evident to me that I am an alcoholic. And I was really upset about that. There was a lot of labels I was really comfortable affixing to myself, but this particular one, I don't know why, it's stupid. It just, whoa, I couldn't be like that. I don't know, I think I was looking for just to not, like that last, you know what I mean, kind of a thing. So, yeah, you're a drunk, all right. And you hear people say things like, oh, that's some of the best things that have ever happened, learning those things. Well, honestly, and I hate when this happens, because it happens a lot, the types of things that you think like, wow, that's really stupid. Or maybe people don't think like that. Maybe it's just me that's looking at things and going, oh, that's really stupid. And then 2 years later, you're like, oh my God, that's so profound. Like, wow. And you're like, yeah, okay. And so, you know, we are where we are. We come along to this place. So in beginning to do this work, I started to hear and see the things that this very simple textbook has for a parameter or a diagnostic criteria for alcoholism. And I am an alcoholic. And so basically, you know, after we get done with like how many questions you want to, like I went and got like the pamphlet. I went to a couple meetings. I went to an AA meeting in Gardner. Oh, that was horrifying. When I first came in, it was nothing about the meeting. It was a fantastic meeting, but it was a nooner. I was new to AA. I could not imagine why anyone would smell like alcohol in this meeting, and was just like, and, you know, I was told by my sponsor at the time, told, not asked, just go to an AA meeting if you can't get to this particular type of meeting that she wanted me to go to. And so I had gone to another meeting where a person was carrying the message, and I really value and appreciate that, and I have to take that a step further, because it's great to value and appreciate things, but when it's all up in your head and you're not actually like doing anything to show, like demonstrate the value and appreciation, like, gee, wouldn't it be nice if maybe I went to another meeting and carried the message to somebody that might be, you know, really confused about what is the problem? Why can't they pull it together? You're seemingly good at other things, and it's very much what the text is building on and leading to. It's like, you know, geez, you kind of just pull it all right down on your head when there's your moment. Why does he do those things? I don't know. I filled in the blank with, for a long time, because, you know, it was like victim-oriented type of stuff, and then it was, well, because you know, so just flip that around. I'm not a victim, but you did this. And in coming to listen that I have a disease that centers in my mind, and so to be able to run the show with this when it's not queued up. I mean, I think of it kind of like, you know, what we have to do with our computer and, you know, with our preferencing stuff to make sure our technology's working. So if I'm not like totally rested, hydrated, caring for myself, and in addition, I mean, that's just the conditions, to then be actively praying and meditating every day and doing this step. So first nugget with this step was sitting in a meeting in Leominster a long time ago, and they said there's a code. I'm like, what? You know, and you hear things and you read, and how many times do we go through this paragraph, and especially if you're coming for a while, things just jump out and you're like, oh, well, that must be for me, or I hadn't heard that. And it's like, well, that's another lie, because you really did. And so this idea that we have a code, I thought that was really cool, that we have a code. But what I thought was really cool was like, you have a code. Love and tolerance of me, right? It's like, oh, no, there's a code. We all have a code with each other, love and tolerance with each other. And so how do I prepare myself? That sounds really sad, like to have to prepare yourself to be in a condition and readiness to be loving and tolerant of other people. Yeah, that's what I have to do on a daily basis. So, you know, and even that's not 100% accurate, because I don't have to do this. I don't have to do this. I can do whatever I want and pay the consequences. So if I would like to live with peace and not chaos, because, you know, people will say, how do you know what God's will is? You know, and as you're working with people, or just, you know, in general recovery conversations, and, you know, so we get into these deep conversations sometimes. For me, how you know what God's will is more by what it's not. And God's will is not when you're having to force and push and, you know, strong arm your way into things. And it's talking about, you've probably digested some chunks of yourself, and it also talks about, you know, we've stopped fighting anyone or anything. And you know, we hear this part of this promise in the sense that, you know, alcohol, you know, we're no longer fighting it off. We're not just sworn off. And that's something I think that most people, if you stick around, will experience those types of changes that are I think the more concrete ones we have an easier time with seeing. At the same token, to be able to look at the bigger picture, as in coming to the point of following directions and taking inventory. And then again, in this particular reading, it's really emphasizing continue. And, you know, I don't know if we all have pet peeves, but I do. And one of mine is continue. Continue, yes, we must continue. Because you know what? It's that, these are all those funny things that they say, you know, half measures avail us nothing. That's what it is, like nothing. You get zip by trying to steer the wheel, be the captain of the show, you know, be the one in the lawn chair, lolling in the sunshine, arranging all the, no, we don't get to do that anymore. So how do I not do that? That's what this is about, step 10. This is how I don't do that. It's a daily reprieve contingent upon the maintenance. The maintenance is, it's not like, and this is just from, the maintenance part is just keep doing it. Keep an open mind. Keep an open mind. Keep the same open-mindedness that, you know, when we talk about being teachable, you know, it's like, well, how are we teachable? Am I jumping out of my skin that I cannot wait to get out of this place because X, Y, or Z, or something else has got me distracted, and there's a lot of different worldly distractions that can get in the way. But, you know, the other thing is, and this is kind of the bonus part of being a member, you know, when you think, oh, I don't want to be a member of AA. I really do. Like, if you haven't been to the AA convention, go. Oh my God, that's so awesome. Like, to be part of those world conferences and people from all over the world, and, you know, that's not an outside issue, so I can talk about that all I want. And, you know, people that, guess what? They have a code too. Love and tolerance is their code. So, you know, where can you go on a Saturday? I've had trouble knowing what day of the week it is this week. Yeah, it's been that kind of week. And so in knowing, okay, well, today's Saturday, where would you want to go on a Saturday morning? Like, my MO is I want to sleep. You know, like when I get into like what my psychiatric bag is, it's sleep. I'm gonna sleep and I'm gonna just hibernate, and I could probably go till April when summer gets here, if I'm lucky. But that's not the reality of life, and boy, my life would be really small if that's all I really made time for. I have a son who's 18. I have a son who's 28. The gifts, many of the gifts of working this program. I have a relationship with my son, with both sons, but in particular the son that I'm living with who's 18, which is really kind of cool. There's just a lot of different levels. I think that this is just part of our life's journey, you know, when we can carry this message. So I have an 18-year-old son who is a lot like me, but nothing like me. He does not drink, he does not smoke, he doesn't. Okay, that's great. And he you know, I don't know, you know what I mean? I think when I look at him and I think what I was doing at his age, I think, oh my God, you know what I mean? It's like, there's just so many, and look at how I brought that back to me. Like looking at him, but let's look at me. Woo! Yeah. So I need a lot of help. So, you know, why don't I talk about the program? Step 10. So, you know, what's that look like? I've gone through a lot of different prop assistance with myself. Like, I've written out cue cards. I've done additional book readings, logging it. I've done an app thing. Who cares what I've done, really? It's, you know, searching, finding tools to support me to do this, not think about doing it, not think I'm thinking I'm doing it, because I'm thinking about doing it. It's like, no, you didn't do it. Okay. Yeah, it's, you know what I mean? Because it's like all this little crazy, and again, that is directly related to doing this, because if I haven't done this last night, dragging it all in, here I come this morning, and woo, you know, so, okay, step 10, how can I be most useful? What is it? You know, bring it. This is, I mean, for me, I am really simple, and direct with the relationship with my higher power, because that's just how the relationship has developed. I noticed on my way here today, God will show me that my higher power I refer to as God. That may have made me bristle with antagonism when I first came here, but that no longer, creates that for me. I enjoy hearing about people's experience. It doesn't have to be God. Whatever you call your source, your spirit, whatever's stirring you up inside, I'm very interested in sharing that and hearing about that, because that's what I was looking for in 12-step meetings, was solutions. To listen to about your problems, honestly, you know what I mean? And that's what I do. That's really not what I do for a living, but sometimes it can become that as a person who works in mental health and substance use disorders. And that's really not strengths-based. So there's a lot of different things going on in the context of, life changes, working in the field, not working in the field, transitions, and I'm really in a big transitional period. So this is probably the first time since I came into program that I don't have a job, but I do have a job. If you know me, you'll understand that 100%. I've always got something in the back pocket, but at some point I am confident that my relationship with God will grow, that I won't feel like I need to keep that last, you know what I mean? Like, I got that all hemmed up just in case. It's a process, and it's not how quickly, how slowly, people notice changes that happen within the natural course of cleaning out. So step 10 is basically, people get bogged down with it. That's okay. If you want to get bogged down with which is 10, which is 11, have at it as far as that goes. The point is that you're cleaning up your side of the street on a daily basis so you don't get jammed up and start believing your own baloney. And so the other buffer to that is staying connected with other people who will also help you to go, hey, what's going on there? You know what I mean? And it's a continue. And you hear people talk about kind of like the onion, or who cares about the onion? You know what I mean? Don't you just want to be more comfortable and basically live your life, be productive, have your little corner and your relationships as far as that goes? I don't know. That's what I want. But as far as right here, right now, in terms of working my program to the best of my ability, my thought and my intention this morning is, give me the words. What do you want me to say? Do, be. I'm here. I'm a vessel. I'm willing. Beyond that, I don't know, what else I can really offer to people, but my experience is authentic, and I continue to practice it, because if I don't, guess what? Every single yet and loophole, there's no discrimination for any of us. You're perfectly, if you want to be the Fred with his slippers, or pick a person that there's certainly one that you can sign on up for, the crazy jaywalker, like those things. I can remember thinking, why in the hell does anybody come out and then use, think about that one a minute, you know what I mean? It's just, you're not, again, that's in a seated judgment. So as I continue to practice this step, how do I practice it? Well, prayer, meditation. I have my daily discipline as far as readings that I do. I've got, I'm still continuing right now with the language of letting go with Emmett Fox, 24-hour a day, AA, Melanie Beattie. Those 3 books are what I'm reading. I pray and I meditate. And then at the end of the day, this is where I'm struggling. So this is where I need to take an action. And so an action, it's not thinking. Thinking is not, as much as it feels like an action, it's really not. you know, an action. And so an action would be like a person that I'm going to call and connect with, you know what I mean? No, that's not even really an action, is it? Because you still didn't do it. Yeah, I got a lot of those. Ask God for help. Ask God for help. Ask God for help. If you're not willing, and see, this is the same for me too. When you come and you do service, I have to say and listen, and it'll stick in my craw if it's not true. 'Cause it's like, that's not true. You need to do your own work. You can't be, you know, cleaning up other sides of the street. So the last thing I'm going to talk about is stop fighting anyone and anything. It's an area that, you know, I've having some growing, but also at the same time, you know, I'm an advocate. And so that in itself, I've kind of put myself in a position of advocacy is really kind of like, but at the same token, in an appropriate way with skills that are meant to be furthering along causes and not to be of undercutting and not building people up and supporting them. So I'm in it. So lastly, as far as step 10 goes, yeah, I think that the best step 10s that we're working out the most are the ones that I do on the phone with other people. I think when I write them out, I still can, like, I think I see the truth, but, you know, if you're not reflecting that to somebody else, I'm probably not seeing the truth. And I'm just, you know, I'm going to fluff up enough of a discomfort and pain until, I don't know why that's how I am, but, you know, it seems as though I've got to, like, kind of, it's not just the first thought, oh, maybe I'll just surrender, or maybe I'll just abandon myself. It's like, what? You know what I mean? So anyways, I am very much looking forward to hearing from some of you and how you are working step 10, because that would be super helpful to me. Thanks.
Great.